I've been a coach now for a number of years. I've coached individuals, coached businesses, professional people, and some of my favorites just family men or women or about families. And so I want to share a story with you that stands out as one of the most memorable of my coaching career. It started with someone that I knew, a couple, 20s, one child, 2-year-old little boy. And I had heard and talked to both of them and felt like that things were just going to just really rapidly fall apart if something didn't happen. So I had the opportunity to coach the husband, dad. And it went, I'll tell you, it went something kind of like this. When I started talking about it, it was very clear for me that he couldn't see the possibilities that I saw. And so when I would talk about, well, things can be this way or that way, what kept popping up was, but you don't understand. You don't know my dad. My dad doesn't show emotions, or you don't know my mother. And I would say, I get that, but I know you and I know your wife, and I can see things. But every time I would start to try to talk about things, it came right back again, like, well, you just don't know, kind of like you don't know my situation, where I came from. And just being, I don't know if I was trying to be funny or what, but I just caught myself saying, you know what you sound like? I said, you sound like a man who's traveled, say, from South Carolina to Washington, D.C. Let's pick kind of a older farmer kind of a guy or whatever. And he goes up to a place and, where they do tours, and he sees this young lady, and when it's his turn to come up to her counter, she says, sir, just tell me, what do you want to see? We've got so many beautiful things. You can see the cherry blossoms, you can see Mount Vernon, you can see, and he interrupts her and he says, ma'am, I'll tell you what, you just don't know how I got here. I'm telling you, as soon as I left, my old transmission started slipping, and I didn't think I was ever going to make it here. And she smiles back and she says, yes, sir, I understand. Yes, sir, but tell me, what would you like to see? And so she's offering these brochures and things. And then he interrupts her again and he says, well, you don't understand. I'm telling you, not too far away from here, my old truck had a flat tire right on the bridge, and I didn't think I was ever going to make it here. I'm just telling you, I've had one heck of a time trying to get here. But to be persistent, though, she doesn't give up, and she says, sir, I understand you had problems, but what do you want to see? So I use that to help this young husband and dad to everybody's had to struggle to get into a certain point if we're having struggles. If we're having problems, yes, that's a good indication that you've had problems. And so I would keep talking about things with him. And so the pressure that I had on me with this young family was a shape. I think a family unit looks something like this. I think that's what a family unit looks like when it's a healthy unit, where everybody's close. It's shaped something like a football. When mom and dad, that tension grows and they start to divide, I think it looks something like this with this young man's situation. And because when a family unit looks like this, but when they start to split, it becomes a team. Now we're starting to have two teams. But fortunately, they were still held together by a string. And I realize this is not a very good drawing. But families are never, if children involved, are never going to split equally, like if we're going to divide that football. Because of family lines. I've done videos on what I've created called family lines. And if there's a child involved, let's say you got mom and a child and that child's on mom's line, this side is going to be bigger. It's going to be weighted differently. And some support in that idea is that we've heard people say many times, all of us probably have, that Well, yes, we went through a divorce and we separated, but we didn't have kids. And we all know that's a total different situation than if there's children involved. And so I just had the pressure on me when I was talking to him that any minute that little connection was going to snap and this family would be separated forever into two teams fighting against each other for basically forever. As I said, there was a 2-year-old child involved. Well, the good news is when I finally was able to talk about the vision that I saw and was able to bring out in him what I saw and the potential, and his wife was definitely a leaner. His wife was trying to hold everything together, but he was still kind of hung up, I think, mostly on the people around him. And this perception of, you just don't know these people. But when I got to know those people, they were much different people than the way he described. They were different with me. And the beauty of this story is, when I got him to change, the most amazing thing happened for him, not to me, was his relationship with his dad or mom got to be such a different relationship. They became close. And the man who didn't show emotions, I actually got to see me talking to him, tears coming down his cheeks. That man who didn't show emotion, that his dad started writing him letters. They hugged. A total different picture. And so what happened with this family, they went on to have more children, 2 more children. And that family has blessed so many people. That's created so many leaning moments and created those leaner kids, which was one of the best gifts to the world, is some parents create a leaner kid. So now, fortunately, they went from this didn't break. Through that coaching, they're back to, and have been for a number of years, into a beautiful single unit. So that's a possibility. So if in your family, if you feel like it's time to call the divorce attorney, I'm an attorney. My background, I've handled many family court and divorce cases. But before you call the attorney, get in touch with us, because I can give you the tools. I can coach you. I can help you to see that vision of a family so that you won't need to spend all the money for that divorce attorney and be separated and fighting in teams forever. So get in touch with me, because I've created the tools to help you in a short time. I've helped professional people to deal with the depression. Even as attorneys, it's my understanding now that as a profession, there's more depression than any other profession. And that's really is sad when you work that hard. You got 7 years of college and including law school to get there. To not be able to enjoy it, it really is sad. So if you feel like your family is holding on by that thread and about to become teams, let us help you put it back together so you can enjoy that time forever with your family. Thank you.